One of the key things about business is you've got to be very confident. And where do you get that confidence from? Well, one is believing in yourself, but two is, well, I think one of the key things about business, right, is yes, we're entrepreneurs, but we also got to know our limitations. And we can be very aggressive. We can, entrepreneurs, you got to be a risk taker, no guts, no glory kind of thing, right? And that's a little bit about entrepreneurship because you do jump into the unknown a little bit. But also, what are the knowns? Knowns are that you need to know where your limits are at. What are the things you can be great at a lot of things, but there's probably one or two things or a couple of things you can identify within yourself that you're a little limited in, that you're not so great at. And so for me, the not so great, I think I'm a good physician. I think I provide good care to my patients and stuff like that. But also, there's folks that run circles around me as far as physicians as well. And that's Dr. Jordan Tate, my partner. She, from a clinical standpoint, is a fantastic physician. She does a lot of research. She heads our research division. She's a public national speaker for a lot of device companies, and she teaches labs on the weekends and things like that. So she's out teaching other physicians and stuff. So I knew that either I can focus on the business, I can focus on growing it, I can do that, or do I need to focus on this clinical side of medicine too? But it's extremely difficult to be at the top of your game on both of those things.
Oh, yeah. No,
right?
Impossible.
Especially and I thought that, my forte is the business side. That's what I love. That's my passion. I like being a doctor, but I also am feel like I really enjoy the business side of it. So let me partner with somebody to help me on the area that I feel like, where I'm maybe a little weaker or, in the sense that that's not necessarily my passion or my forte, right? So I reached out to Dr. Tate here in town and said, hey, would you be interested in partnering with me? This is it's really exciting. This is what I'm trying to do. And she was like, great, where do I sign up? Sounds awesome, and it's been
That's
great. What turned out, and I always tell her this, that we didn't really know each other when we became partners. Usually folks go into business because they're good friends and they know each other and they're like, yeah, we should do something together, right? And that's how they go into business. With Dr. Tate and I, we really didn't know each other. We just knew that we were both enjoyed what we do. We felt we were good in our respective, areas within our specialty. And we said, okay, let's jump in together and be business partners. And so then our friendship came after that, actually. So it's a little bit backwards of what you would traditionally think. And now we're great friends. And we were really just acquaintances when we first started. So
thanks for tuning in to the Healthy Careers podcast. In 2024, we reached over 32,000 listeners and ranked in the top 15% of all podcasts. We're proud to have SharePro Health as a sponsor and are currently looking for 2 more partners in 2025. If you're looking to connect with healthcare leaders, providers, and innovators, we'd love to spread the word about your service, product, or business. Reach out to me, Maddie, for more details. I honestly think that's probably better, though, because the dynamic when you are friends before business, I feel like then it does impact the friendship side, right? Or if you go into business with family, I think it's better to get into business with people that there's a fine line, right? So that there's not a gray area of, is this personal or is this business, right? Because that's when the waters can sometimes get muddy. And I unfortunately have learned that the hard way. But, it is scary, I would say, when you're looking for somebody, because when it's your baby and you've worked so hard in growing it, one wrong move, right? Everyone knows your people are your profit centers. And especially in medicine and healthcare, they're the people that are in front of your patients. And without that doctor-patient relationship, you've got nothing. And so I would imagine that was scary, but like you said, no guts, no glory. You've got to take risks to make things grow and make things work.
Yeah. And I think, one of the other things, about being an entrepreneur in business and in medicine is you've got to be very confident, in yourself, right? And I think that, yes, entrepreneurship can be risky at times. And, like we say, no guts, no glory. And you sometimes just have to jump off the cliff, figure it out on your way down, that sort of thing. But if you're confident that you can do it and you believe in yourself and know that, whatever hole you may get yourself into, you'll climb back out of it. It'll be there, right? And where do you get that confidence from? Well, one is believing in yourself, but two is in your family and your friend group, the people that you know, and know that they're behind you, they've got your back, and they support you, right? And so one of the big things that Dr. Tate and I have had in our practice over the last 4.5 years, we have the ultimate support of both of our families. both her family, her parents, my parents. I told you I talk to my dad, on a daily basis. He's still my mentor in so many ways, from on a personal level, but also on a business level, we talk. And so I think that gives you the support, that gives you the confidence to take that leap, to say, it's okay. I got some strong people behind me that should I fall, should I get myself into a hole, I can lean on some folks and I'll work my way out of it. And so I think that's what the networking, that's what your relationships, and that's what guides you as an entrepreneur, is maintaining those relationships.
Yeah, 100%. If you've got a support system, like you said, falling isn't a problem. And I remember when I started my business, I was working for a corporate tech company actually in Atlanta, and they were great, but they were going through some instability, and I'm on, the front of talent acquisition. So I'm hiring people in, and then they're going through rifts. And I'm like, okay, I'm reaching out to people saying, hey, you should come work for us. And then you're firing them, not because of performance, but because the runway is short. And if we keep doing this, then my reputation's on the line as a recruiter, because recruiting is not just the here and now. If I leave to go be with another company, well, if I hired George and he was fired 3 months later, not because he did anything wrong, he's going to say, to heck with
Don't
that.
trust her.
She didn't do me good. Like, she didn't do right by me. And so I kept asking, how are we changing this? How are we changing this? And it was, be quiet and just do your job. Be quiet and just do your job. And I told my boyfriend at the time, who's now my husband, I said, I just ethically, I don't sit well with that. I don't feel good doing that to people. It doesn't sit well with me. And he's like, start your own company. You'll be a success. And I was like, I could never do that. And he's like, sure you can. You're good at what you do, no? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, you're the top performer in your company, so just go do it for yourself. And I was like, okay, how? I'm used to getting this nice paycheck. And he's like, I've got your back. We can make it float. He's like, don't worry. And that was 3 years
That right
ago.
there is the support you needed, right? To take that leap like we're talking about.
Yes.